This is the Mike LiPetri Show. Park Strategies is the premier full-service lobbying firm helping businesses and nonprofits cut through federal, state, or local red tape. You've got a state licensing issue? Call Park Strategies. You're vying for government funding? Call Park Strategies. You're looking to stop a government regulation? Call Park Strategies. Park Strategies, your strategic partner for success. Go to parkstrategies.com for more info. Nassau County property taxes are way too high. That's why you need Reassessment and Evaluation Services, Inc., the #1 tax grievance provider that offers personal service and high success rates. Grieve your taxes now before the deadline on March 1st, 2024. Call today for more info, 516-742-5180, or apply online at reassessmytaxes.com. We have here Pat Fazio, president of Suffolk County Crime Stoppers, in the building, in studio. What's up, Patty? How you doing, buddy?
Pretty excited to do this.
I'm super excited to have you on board. I mean, for those who don't know, Suffolk County Crime Stoppers is a staple since 1994. It was established then as an independent, privately funded, not-for-profit organization working with Suffolk County communities and the Suffolk County Police Department by allowing individuals to call anonymously with tips about crimes in their communities. Cash rewards are awarded for information that results in arrests. And I find it fascinating because throughout my entire life, I have always seen Suffolk County Crime Stoppers. But for me, it's a matter of understanding, like, how do you even get involved? How does this all get started? Why did it get started? And I really was excited to have you on to really iron out all those details to get a real understanding, and for our viewers and listeners, for them to get a gist of, okay, how does this actually work here? Because you see it, right? You see all these rewards, 10,000, 20,000 for
Every news station.
Every news station. But I'm like, for me, I'm thinking to myself, like, where's the origins of this just in the beginning, and then how does this all work? So I really want to iron that out. But Patty, as president, what made you get involved with Suffolk County Crime Stoppers?
So it was around 2015. I got a phone call from Tim Sinney. And that was the former district attorney.
Yes. Tim
asked me about if I would be willing to get involved. Crime Stoppers was around. It was already established. It's been around, like you said, since 94. And I had a little bit of a knack for fundraising. So I got involved with Nick Amar, who's the president, has since, actually, he passed away this summer, sadly. Nick got me involved. He wanted to know what I thought. I had some good ideas. Crime Stoppers wasn't very funded at the time. When I say funded, the money does come from donations. That's where all our money comes from.
Solely. That's
Solely.
what I mean. It's a non-for-profit,
I mean,
yeah.
You know, Joe Blow could pick up the phone and just make a donation. You know, send a check. Checks go out to Yaphank Avenue, to headquarters. We have an office there. But they were very underfunded, what I felt was underfunded, you know. And they knew they had to raise some money. So I came on board as a director. I got involved. I put together, you know, there's a big epidemic that still hasn't left us, and that's the heroin epidemic.
Yeah.
You know, it rears its ugly head. Sometimes it spikes. Sometimes it's got its lulls. But this was really in full force,
right?
15, 16. So we did a big fundraiser. I got Mike Del Giudice from Big Shot, Billy Joel involved. He did a show for us.
Wow.
In Patchogue. We did a live concert. We raised about $90,000.
Wow. God
so
bless you.
Kind of like put us on a roadmap to, got us out, like you just said. You know about it. You heard about it. You've seen it. But you don't really know about it. You
Correct.
know about it, but you don't know about it.
Yeah. So it's in your face. It's always in your face.
Right.
But
News
it's like
12 does a great job.
They do.
The only part that doesn't get out there is how we need to get funded. And it is through donations. So that night we did this concert. A lot of awareness was brought onto what Crime Stoppers was about. We launched a new number. So 1-800-220-TIPS is the Crime Stopper, Suffolk County Crime Stopper hotline. We then launched 631-852-NARC, N-A-R-C.
Okay.
Which was primarily used, we wanted to take just drug tips on that line.
Okay.
It went crazy.
Really?
Crazy. Thousands of tips.
And how did you publicize that?
We publicized it through News 12, was a big help. And we just got the word out there through literature that we now had this 852-NARC. It was highlighted during the whole, I don't want to say because it hasn't really gone away, the epidemic, the heroin, the opioid epidemic.
Yes.
And Tim Sinney at the time was very he was out in front of it a lot. And, the new district attorney, Ray Tierney, he's just taking it to a whole nother level.
Yeah, Ray's great.
Yeah, Ray's awesome. And it's still a concentrated effort. The drugs are still a big problem. Not just here. It's not just Long Island. But it is Long Island. Some people want to think it's not. It is. It's in every community. It's everywhere. But when we did that fundraiser, that kind of put us on the map as far as getting some funds. And other eyes saw it. Like you said, you've seen it. Some people with deep pockets saw it.
Yeah.
And we started to get some donations. Not, we could always use more. We're 100% nonprofit.
Yeah, which is crazy.
No salaries. None. I collect nothing.
Oh, really?
There's
All
no
volunteer?
Every one of my directors, every other board member, 100% volunteer.
Wow.
So one of my mentors as a kid, Jack Kolka, was a member of Crime Stoppers from, I believe it's inception, 94. Wow. And he's been a pioneer on Long Island through building and through other stuff.
Really has.
But always a give back guy. 100% give back guy. I always looked up to him. He's a good man. And he was involved up until his passing. He was a member of Crime Stoppers on the board. So, you had guys like him, business guys. They were the ones funding it. But it's more about that. We need funding from everybody. But we're doing a lot of good things. We had a huge reward on the Gilgo case, currently solved by District Attorney Ray Tierney, Police Commissioner Harrison, Sheriff Toulon, and, the New York State Police. That entire task force did an unbelievable job.
Stellar.
Unbelievable job. And they're continuing. I'm sure the efforts are continuing. And the reward is still out there. There's still a $50,000 reward out there for information leading to an arrest of someone involved in the Gilgo case. So if any of our listeners or viewers have any information, I encourage them to call 220-TIPS, 1-800-220-TIPS, and give that information to the tip line.
But how does that work now if they arrested allegedly Rex Heuermann, who is allegedly the Gilgo Beach killer?
Well,
how does that work?
He's been identified by the police commissioner, the district attorney, as the Gilgo Beach killer of, I believe, 3 he's been indicted on, and a 4th he's being looked at. We still have the other 6 bodies.
Oh.
So, I'm not sure if there is anybody else.
Right.
Maybe it is him. Maybe it's not.
Right, and they just haven't discovered it.
They haven't discovered it. So if anyone else out there, any viewers or listeners, have information, I encourage them to call. What you might feel is minuscule could be monumental.
Right.
So let the tip come in, let the investigators investigate, let the task force get it, and they will get it. And who knows, maybe we could lead to closure for those other families.
I absolutely agree with that. Because do you remember how many total bodies there were?
I believe it was 10.
It was 10. Yeah, see, that's insane to me. And we don't know. At this time, I remember exactly what you just said. There's only a handful of bodies, and they're still scouting out to see if the others are even connected. So that's interesting to see that, because many people, they wouldn't even realize that, thinking that, okay, well, Rex has been identified. That's it. But they don't even recognize all those other bodies. It's so long ago. The facts of the case are weary with that. So how does it – because for me, growing up, I've always looked at Crime Stoppers. I thought that you were funded – see, this is just fascinating to learn about the nonprofit side, because I thought you were funded in tandem with the county as a municipal – as an arm of him.
So we have nothing to do with them as far – there's no funding that comes. There's no public funds. When I say public, I mean taxpayer money.
Yes.
No county money. We don't get assistance from them.
So how does Crime Stoppers work in tandem with law enforcement?
So Suffolk County Crime Stoppers is here to assist all law enforcement throughout the county, the sheriff's office, the district attorney's office, all our villages, all the little hamlets, police departments. We're here for all of them. A lot of people don't know that. And I'm going to bring it, I've just become president recently, and I'm going to bring that to the forefront. I'm going to go out next summer, spring, summer, visit the departments out east.
Yeah.
And try and get people that come out there. Everyone that comes out to the Hamptons, Montauk, those beautiful, beautiful spots.
Right.
They're all coming through Suffolk County and remaining in Suffolk County. The Hamptons and Montauk might have their own police presence. They're still Suffolk County.
Yes.
And and on a lot of cases, if it's, God forbid, it's a homicide or something, they do go to Big Brother, which is Suffolk County Police, for the specialty units, homicide, crime scene. They don't, the little villages can't have all those units within that small department.
Yeah, it's too much.
So if, God forbid, it's a big crime, they're utilizing the county. And we are one county. Suffolk is one county.
Yes.
People view it as different hamlets. We are one county. And we are one Suffolk County Crime Stoppers, here to assist all law enforcement throughout Suffolk County.
So how does it work with the police departments? Do the chiefs of each precinct, would they reach out to you and say, hey, we have this ongoing, we need some help with?
So we do get that. We do get that. So primarily how it's set up, I'll give you a little background. Primarily how it's set up is it's 1-800-212-TIPS. Anonymous caller calls that hotline. It rings in Yaphank at headquarters. We have people answering the phones. They answer it. They take the tip. They take the information, all the granular information. What people might think is not a big detail, the investigators in the various departments might find it very helpful. So give them all the information they ask for. They'll collect it. They'll forward that tip. If it's a narcotic tip, it'll go to narcotics. If it's, if it's a homicide tip, it'll go to homicide. So they'll forward it and channel it to the proper investigative unit. They'll take that information and they'll try and develop, maybe it'll enhance a case or completely develop a case, at which time the tipster will be given a code name. And that's all they'll have. We don't want their information. We don't need it. They remain anonymous throughout. Once we have that information, the tips go. If it culminates in an arrest, just an arrest, doesn't have to be a conviction. If the Suffolk County Police or any law enforcement agency, Ray Tierney's guys, Suffolk County District Attorney investigators, they make an arrest on one of our tips, the tipster will call back. They'll be told to call back several weeks later to follow up. Reports are generated on our end, and if it culminates in an arrest, it'll be given back. Then when they call in, they'll be told that an arrest was made, and a tip is going to be a reward is going to be given. And we discuss that at a meeting, a rewards meeting. We determine what the rewards are. It's up to $5,000 unless it's a specific one.
Okay.
You'll see us sometimes on the news in collaboration with Police Commissioner Harrison or the District Attorney's Office with Ray Tierney. We will do a fast cash reward. Say they have an incident or incidents that are happening. Like right now in the 4th Precinct, I had spoken to the inspector over there, Inspector Regina. They have a specific incident that's going on over the summer. It's called the Kool-Aid Challenge. They're breaking through people's fences. They've had like 30 of them.
Really?
So he asked, what could they do? I said, you could announce a $500 fast cash reward. So, you have to fit the crime, right? So it's a $500 fast cash. It'll be paid within 72 hours of an arrest. They don't have to wait. So if someone gives a tip on that information to make an arrest for one or several of those incidents where it's mostly property damage, damaging people's PVC fences, they'll receive that reward in 72 hours. They call back, an arrest is made, they'll call back, be told, boom, we'll pay it out in 72 hours.
And so that would also be relevant. I know there was a string of catalytic converters throughout Suffolk County. That was a big deal as well.
That was. I'm not sure if we did a fast cash reward on that, but there have been several things. We did it on the ATVs.
Yes.
We did it on several, not only quality of life, life hazards. Those ATVs wreak havoc. That's a big problem for the police. It's a big problem for law enforcement. They wreak havoc on the island, and I don't know if you've seen them. I've seen them. They zip up and down the streets. They're unregistered, uninsured vehicles that could hit a pedestrian, someone on a bicycle, or even cause their own demise by running into a car. So it is a problem. But a lot of times it's young kids. They don't realize, but it becomes a problem, a nuisance nonetheless.
Yeah. So with that said, so now you have this rewards meeting. Can we break that down? Because I want to make it clear for those viewers. So those people submitting the tips will then be anonymously. So what about if they have caller ID? Isn't caller ID on there?
A lot of times people are smart enough to call without a caller ID.
Okay.
But if there is a caller ID, we don't record the number. We don't want it.
Right.
We don't need it. We get the tip. It's based on
That's
what
the whole
they gave
point.
us.
We want the tip.
We want the tip.
Yeah.
We want the tip.
We want a tip to lead to that arrest. That's
Yes.
the key, is having that finality and being able to have closure on those cases.
Yes.
And ultimately that's the goal. But the tips are then, after submitting tips, say Monday, you'll say, hey, if it's a fast cash, call back Wednesday or Thursday. If it's not fast.
Call back after you see an arrest is made.
But how do they see an arrest is made?
Well, they got to follow the news.
Okay, so they got to just stay
But they
alert.
could just call back and sit, after a week, 2 weeks, whatever, and they'll be given an update on the status of that
Okay,
case.
so that's what I mean. So worst case, if they don't know, they can call back in a week or two. But how do you know if they were the one that actually submitted the tip? Like if it's me, Mike, calling, you don't know if it's me on Monday, and then I call back 2 weeks. It's like, hey, I submitted the tip.
You have to give the same code we gave you that day. When you
you'll be okay. That's
we'll give a code.
That's what it is.
The person answering the phone, we'll give them a code. They call back with that code.
Got it.
That code then goes in. We'll be able to look up the code.
Yep.
The code will give the case. Let them
That's
know
your identity.
Exactly.
Oh, very interesting how that works out. Now, with the rewards meeting, that occurs after the tips are given or before?
Quarterly, we do a rewards meeting, and we'll have all the cases that'll be given to us internally by Crime Stoppers over at Suffolk County headquarters.
Mm-hmm.
They'll submit all those. They get vetted through the investigative track to say, yes, this tip helped or this tip didn't help. And then we take them, we look at all the feedback, and then we come up with the proper reward to fit the tip.
Oh, that's good. So you look at it as almost as the quality too. If you're having all these tips that are really instrumental in leading to this arrest, you're going to make sure to provide that reward at a higher cash value.
Right. So somebody gives us a tip on a larceny that occurred of $500, and an arrest is made on that larceny. Happens all day long with our shopping centers, Home Depot, Target, Walmart. You'll see the photos come out, wanted for a larceny.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if those come out and we make an arrest on that off of a tip, a lot of times it's someone that knows someone. That's fine.
Yeah.
But that's not going to garner the same the same reward as the guy that calls up and maybe a warrant's executed and we get a couple of handguns.
Gotcha.
So, the more success that the detectives have in an arrest that culminates will be indicative of what the reward
Yeah, the
will be.
severity of the crime. You always
Yes.
want to make sure to provide a higher cash value. I mean, the person hypothetically here, if someone submitted that pizza box about Rex Heuermann, right, or whatever it may be, there you go.
Yeah.
That was a big deal. That led to or helped
Absolutely.
lead to the arrest. That
would be a huge tip.
yeah, that would be reflective.
Right
upon
now,
that.
one that we have out there that I want the viewers and the listeners to know about is there was a murder back in 1989 of a Suffolk County detective, Detective Mostanoff. He was murdered as a result of his employment. He was a narcotics officer undercover, and he got into his vehicle and the vehicle exploded. That is still an open investigation. There's still a $25,000 reward out there for information leading to an arrest of an individuals responsible for Detective Wostanoff's murder. So I would strongly encourage any listener or viewer that might know something about that. As minuscule as you might think it is, please call 1-800-220-TIPS and let them decipher if it's minuscule.
Yeah, every tip will make a difference that can lead to that arrest.
Absolutely.
And finally, we'll have that closure that's needed for
Yes.
families, frankly.
Absolutely.
Which is critical. I think that's what I love about what you do is that you persevere, you persist to making sure that there is that answer for these families who suffered these grave losses.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's so sad, and nobody, you don't think about it until it affects you, and that's why it's so hard for the public who watches or who sees this pop up. It's like you can have a huge impact on a family's life because you finally give them that closure that they need, which is critical.
It's true, and coming from me, it's coming from someone with firsthand knowledge. I was a New York City police officer. I had a cousin that was a detective in the New York City Police Department who was murdered. He was killed in the line of duty, shot in the head. So I know what the families, I've dealt with many line of duty families and continue to do that. And I will continue to do that for the rest of my life. It's so important for the families to get closure. No matter how that closure comes, arrests are key. I mean, you always want to know who did what.
Yeah.
And that's why I say Detective Wostanoff's, that will just be a thorn in my side
Until you get that answer.
until that's solved. And there's no doubt that Ray Tierney and Rodney Harrison and Sheriff Toulon, these guys are incredible in culminating and getting together, collaboration, and moving a mission forward. So I just hope that this one also will be something that they could say we solved.
Yeah, we hope that's going to be resolved sooner rather than later, and time will tell. But
Yes.
everybody that's out there, listening and watching, make sure to follow up with Pat and submit those tips. Anything's going to make a difference. So your year to year, though, can change radically based on the volume of crimes.
Absolutely.
So how do you maintain a budget like that? How could you even budget? Because you might have it where if you have the first half of the year, first quarter, you're getting crushed with an influx of crimes. That might burn through your budget right there, no?
Then I'll have to be on this show a few times.
I guess, but at the same time, that means it's working what you're doing, because then you're getting
There's
all
no
those
doubt
tips
it's working.
that are constantly.
There's absolutely no doubt it's working. The numbers are there. I mean, Crime Stoppers works. It absolutely works. When you see that on News 12, and you see tips are needed, we get them, and we encourage people to continue to give them. It's a problem that can happen. You're absolutely right. We do have busier quarters than others. Financially, I mean, we have some money right now. We have pledges. My biggest concern is, God forbid something happens to a police officer, to have the money available to throw that fast cash reward out there immediately.
Yeah. And
we do have that. But we're always fundraising. We're always trying to get funds. I'm always out there meeting with different businesses, peoples, individuals. It's not like we'll take anything. Any donations we get is a good donation. Anyone could send us a donation to Suffolk County Crime Stoppers, 70 Yaphank Avenue, Yaphank, New York. That's where we take the donations. If it's not a personal donation where someone just hands us a check.
Would they be able? Is there like a newsletter that can update those patrons who are donors who support Suffolk County Crime Stoppers, where they can just be alerted to the successes? Because you're looking at how many numbers do you think on a year-to-year basis that your tips result in arrests? Is it dozens? Is it hundreds? Is it thousands?
It's dozens, definitely dozens.
Yeah.
So, and we've solved everything from homicides, to burglaries, to gun arrests.
Really? To drugs?
Drugs are big. I mean, that NARC number brought in a couple thousand tips.
Really?
Yeah, that resulted in a lot of arrests. And it definitely helped. People should know it absolutely helped quell, not put out, this fire. When I say fire, I mean opioid. Now it's fentanyl and everything else. And I mean, you see the news conferences, you see the press releases from District Attorney Ray Tierney. He's consistent. That's something that he's made a mission. Commissioner Harrison, they're constantly reminding you of the arrests that have been made.
Right.
Not necessarily through Crime Stoppers, but if it is made through, we're talking about a newsletter now. Something about that. That is something that's in the works. But make no bones about it. It is working. We are getting results. We need to keep it going. It is definitely instrumental. It is a huge extra member in law enforcement.
Right.
For law enforcement.
It's that partner.
It's that
total
partner.
It's the community partner. Yeah, which is key.
And, see something, say something.
It's real.
See something, say something, make a call.
Yeah. Is there other options available besides phone calls? What about text messaging or email? Is that possible with tips?
There is an app that's been worked on. I'm not quite sure we have it out yet.
Okay.
I think we do. If you go on our website.
What's the website?
Suffolk County Crime Stoppers. Even if you go to SuffolkCountyPolice.com, you'll see the link to Crime Stoppers, and on there it will tell you. I don't know the exact email, but there is there's a tip line for text messaging.
So online, so you can either call at 1-800-220-TIPS. You could go on the app by searching P3 Tips.
That's the new one, P3 Tips.
And then by email, you go to p3tips.com, and you could submit a tip right online, which goes to this anonymous email, which is pretty cool. I like this. So you submit a new tip, you can review your updated tip, and then for administrators, you guys have a login for us so that you can even access all this.
And it's completely anonymous.
Your anonymity is protected at all times. In many cases, your information may be eligible for reward offered by this local program. That's awesome. And what's interesting too is that if your information relates to students or campus safety in your community, please visit p3campus.com, which is pretty interesting.
Yes, linked up with the universities.
Exactly. So it's K through 12 anonymous reporting solution, which I'm sure would help a lot, specifically during this time and age when you're looking at school shootings, active shooters, bomb threats, things of that nature.
Yeah, of all, the Semitic,
anti-Semitic, yes.
I mean, it's huge.
I just saw that in
with
Riverhead.
The bomb threat out here.
Yeah, there's also Riverhead with
anti-Semitic
and the synagogues on top of it. I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Unfortunately, it's the world we live in.
I think that's exacerbated personally by social media more than anything.
Absolutely.
Because people are looking at it as fandom. I mean, it goes back to the day and age when people used to run into the fields during big sports games, right? To gain attention. And the cameras, now they turn away, so you never get the publicity.
They used to keep it on.
They used to keep it on back in the day. See, now they don't do it anymore, so it looks, there's no incentive.
It's about time.
Yeah, same thing needs to happen, though, with social media, where they need to start looking at, but the problem is that you get into a whole censorship issue, et cetera. But regardless, I think this is great that you have all these different opportunities and choices for people to go. So you have telephone, the app, the email, which people can go see. And you're seeing real success, which is what is so critical about it. I mean, I love that fact. What would you say that your biggest success story is, or some of your biggest success stories as Suffolk County Crime Stoppers?
Well, solving homicides. Obviously that's...
is there any homicide that really stood out for you?
None that I really want to discuss.
Okay.
Just to the listeners and the viewers to know that it works. And when you solve something because of a tip that came in, when the investigators are able to have 99% of that puzzle, but they don't have that 1% to bring forward to the district attorney or to make that arrest to then go to the district attorney, and they get it through a tip, it's huge.
And you're looking at anything, correct? Like you're saying, how does someone even decipher what would be a relevant tip? Is it a vague appearance?
I don't want them to decipher.
Just anything that you think could be relevant. Just call it.
We'll decipher.
Yeah,
it'll go to the investigators. They're the pros, and we have the best investigators out here.
Because it could be something so simple as I was walking my dog and I saw this black bag on this block.
Absolutely.
And that alone, I mean, the black bag could mean that was this person that they believe could be the criminal. Yet they have now a person identifying that bag which they own.
Yep.
Something minute as that.
And you say walking the dog. That is a big one because that's when a lot of people, when you're walking the dog, be a little more aware of just what the dog's doing. Look around, And if you see something, especially, I tell this to my kids all the time, if it involves a vehicle, just grab the plate. Try and grab the license plate.
And nowadays you have your phone on you. Just take a
snap
snapshot.
a picture. If you can snap a picture. I don't want anybody to place themselves in danger.
Right.
Never, ever, ever place yourself in danger. But if you can just snap a picture, that will be so helpful to law enforcement.
Right. It looks weird, and you could even submit that through this website.
Yes.
That allows you on the p3tips.com.
You could download it, send it.
You could just upload the picture for everybody and say, hey, I saw this on this block at this time. Looked weird.
Yep.
And that alone
might work.
Yeah. And for Suffolk County Crime Stoppers, you then provide it to the investigators and say, was there any shenanigans occurring in this area? If so, here we go. We got something for you.
Yeah.
That's fascinating because you don't even realize, and that's the thing too. Sometimes investigations, they're not announced. So you don't know what's happening. So for you, you're looking at it saying, I don't know if there's anything going on. But meanwhile, there's a huge investigation going on at this home, focusing on a huge, whether it be heroin den or crack den, whatever it could be, right?
A lot of times it's a neighbor,
Guns.
right? It's a neighbor. So, I don't want that in my neighborhood.
Right.
So if I see something, I'm calling.
Yeah, you don't know what the criminal activity is around your neighborhood.
Right.
So there could be illegal gun trafficking that could be occurring in
Yes.
the basement of said home.
And then who becomes victims? Kids, seniors, most of the time, innocent
Right,
people.
the most vulnerable.
So, I mean, that's why it's just so important. It's a program that, I believe in. I didn't invent it. I believe in it. It's working. We need it to continue to work. Even our donors that help us, we have a lot of businesses. They remain anonymous if you want to. But, it's a continuing effort to keep moving it forward. When I leave it, I want to leave it better than when I found it. And our past president, Nick Amar, did a wonderful job in keeping Crime Stoppers going in the legacy that when it was started, 27 years ago, 26 years ago.
Yeah, God bless you. I mean,
coming up on 30, actually.
Suffolk County Crime Stoppers instills community participation, community activity, and community action.
Absolutely.
And I love that because I think too much of today's society relies on government to do everything, and they forget that we have a civic duty to take in our communities, an active role to take. And I love that, buddy. I appreciate you stepping to the top and being the president to lead the charge, to lead by example, and somebody truly that is doing this out of passion. I mean, as a volunteer, you and your board, all volunteers, so all this money that's donated goes straight to the cause to catch criminals, and I love that.
100%. I mean, and, you know, we have also the human trafficking. You know, that's a big thing. You know, there was the movie that was on that a lot of people didn't want people to see it. So that's real.
Yeah,
that's real. You know, you could want to close your eyes, you could want to turn your head, but it's real. So that's another big one. You know, human trafficking gets the most vulnerable, the most innocent when it attacks our young. Even those sex trade workers, they're still human beings. So the Gilgo, they didn't deserve what happened to them. No one deserves that.
No way.
So it's important that people keep that in the back of their mind. You know, human trafficking is something that is here, and hopefully through great law enforcement that we have and tips. I keep saying tips because I believe they work. You know, see something, say something, make a call.
Love it.
It works.
Patty, thank you so much for coming on. This has been truly enlightening, educational, informative for residents, and we look forward to helping Suffolk County Crime Stoppers. You want to say those numbers again?
1-800-220-TIPS or 1-631-852-NARC for drug tips. You could still give the drug tips on the other one, but it's just easier for us to channel them when they go directly to the 1-631-852-NARC number.
Anything can make a difference to catching the criminal.
Yes.
Thanks, Patty. Appreciate having you on.
Thank you. Everyone be safe.